What's up guys? Today I'm going to show you how to render on 3ds Max from scratch. So first things first, let's get a model you can download or use a project you're working on. For this tutorial, we're going to use this Revit model I've created, but first we need to crop out the room we want to export. To do that, go to the Properties panel and turn on the section box, then use the edge of the box to crop the part of the model you want. Once you're done, go to the Files tab and save the project. Then open 3ds Max, go to the Files tab and scroll down to Import, then select Link Revit. Then select the Revit file you just saved. It will ask you to select a Revit view, just press OK. On the preset rollout, select Combine by Revit Material. This will group your model based on the materials you assign to it in Revit. Then press Attach this file. The first thing we're going to do in 3ds Max is removing any camera and light source we don't need that came with the Revit file, because we're going to use Vray cameras and lights. Then go to Settings on the top right corner. On the pop-up window that came up, select the drop-down where it says Renderer and select Vray 5. Close the window and go to the Command tab and press the plus sign. From the options below, select the camera icon. From the drop-down, select Vray, then Vray Physical Camera. Place the camera where you want it to be, and without letting go, stretch it to the end of the model. Once you're done, go to the bottom right window where it says Perspective Camera and select the camera you just created. The camera will be in a bad position at first, so select the line of the camera and use the Move tool to adjust the height and orientation. Now select the camera itself and go to the Modify tab. Play around with the film gate and focal length values to fit everything in the scene. When adjusting the camera height, the vertical lines in the scene might tilt. To fix that, scroll down to where it says Tilt and Shift and turn on Automatic Vertical Tilt. It will straighten out the perspective in the scene. Once you're done with the camera, go to the Create tab and select Vray Sun to add a light source to the scene. Place it near the model and extend it to the target area you want to illuminate. Then select the sun icon and adjust the height. Then go to the Modify tab and reduce the value of the photo emit radius. .8 is a good number. On the perspective window, go to Cameras again and change it to the Vray camera you created. Go to the Vray panel and select Vray Frame Buffer. Adjust the size because we don't want it to take up the whole screen. Common tab, and make sure the resolution is set to 1280 by 720. In the Vray tab, go to the Image Sampler drop-down and select Progressive, and the color mapping set to Rain Hard. In the Global Switches drop-down, uncheck the Hidden Light option. This will tell Vray not to render hidden lights in the scene. Also, check Override Material and select the material on the new window that pops up. The basic Vray material is a good choice, as it lets us render everything in white. Then the GI tab and change the primary engine to Irradiance Map and the secondary engine to Light Cache. In the Irradiance drop-down, change the current preset to Very Low. In the Light Cache drop-down, change the subdivs to 300, then press Render. As we can see on the VFB, the scene is dark. This is because the exposure value of the camera is too high. So, we'll select the camera, go to the Modify tab to where it says Color and Exposure, switch to Exposure Value and lower the value. The light from the sun is not entering the scene. This is because we override the materials to render in white. To fix this, go to Setting and in the Override section, select Exclude. Then from the new pop-up window, select all the glass materials and add them to the Exclude list by double-clicking on it. Start the render and the problem is fixed. If you notice, whenever you select different views, the render switches and starts rendering that view. We want the render to stick to the Vray camera we created. So go to Setting and on the View to Render drop-down, select the Vray camera and lock it down. Now when you select the different views, the render doesn't change, it sticks to the Vray camera. Now, let's bring in the models we want to add to the shot. To do this, go to the film where your model is located, drag the model onto 3ds Max, and select Merge File. Once the model is in, use the Move and Rotate tool to place it in the scene and adjust the orientation. Continue placing more models. And if a model is too big, like this pendant light, use the Scale tool to reduce or increase the size of your model. If you want to copy a model, just select it, press Ctrl+C to copy, then Ctrl+V to paste. On the new window that comes up, select Instance, then OK. Selecting Instance links the models, and the changes you make on one model will affect the other one as well. Next, let's remove the material override. To do this, go to Settings and the Global Switches drop-down and uncheck Override Material. Start the render again and you'll see the materials from Revit are back. But if you see the bed, there are some textures missing. To fix this, we'll go to the Files tab, Reference, then add Asset Tracking Toggle. On the new window that comes up, select all the files that say Missing and right-click, then select Set Path and press the three dots and locate the texture of the model. Then press Use this path. As you can see, the missing files are found now, and it says OK. Do this for all the files that are missing and close the window. Restart the render again. Now you can see the textures are showing in the render. Now let's replace the Revit materials by assigning new ones from the Vray material library. Select the object you want to assign the material to. And from the Vray material browser, right-click on the material you want, then apply to the selected object. Vray will assign the material to the object. But as you can see, the texture is missing. So we'll go back to Asset Tracking, hit Refresh. Select the missing files, right-click and press Set Path. And locate the textures in Vray Material Library. Most of the time it's in C Drive, Program File, Vray Material Library, Assets. Select the Material folder, then press Use Path, OK. Do this for all the missing textures. As you can see now, the material has texture. Let's continue adding more objects to the scene. When adding your model, if you want to stretch the object, you can go to the Modify tab, press the Modify List drop-down, and scroll down to Stretch. Selecting it will open the Parameters drop-down. Select the XYZ direction, where you want the change to be applied, and adjust the stretch value. As you can see here, stretching the object deforms the shape. So go to the Amplify value and adjust it till the form is straight again. Now, let's add light fixtures that will add lights to later on. If you want models for 3ds Max, you can use Chaos Cosmos browser, where you can find different kinds of Vray objects. Sometimes Chaos Cosmos shows an error message like this. To fix it, go to the Chaos Cosmos directory and right-click on cpservice.exe and run it as administrator. This will fix the problem. After finding the object you want, press the download icon at the top. After the download is complete, press the import icon to add the object to the scene. If you want to assign material from a file, open the Material Editor, and on the top left corner press that drop-down button and select New Material Library. Then locate your file and press Save. As you can see, the material is added to 3ds Max. Now drag it and drop it into the Material Editor panel. Select the object you want to assign the material to, and with the material selected, press the Assign Material to Selection icon. This will assign the imported material to the object. Now, let's add some lights. Go to the Create tab and from the drop-down select Vray, then in the Object Type panel select Vray Light, then go to General and press the Type drop-down and select Sphere. Click where you want the center to be and drag it outward to the size you want. Copy the light as an instance. Select both lights and adjust the height. To add Ids Lights, go to the Create panel and select Vray Ids and place it on the recessed lights in the scene. This type of light needs an IDS file to work, so go to the Modify tab and scroll down to where it says IDS file. Locate your IDS file. Choose the one you want and press Open. If you don't have an IDS file, you can always download an Ids light pack to see the effect of the lights we added. Turn off the Vray sun. But before we press render, let's add Hdri. To do so, open the material editor. Right-click on an empty space and go to Maps, then Vray, then Vray bitmap. The map will be added to the scene. Select it and go to the options, and then right-click the three dots and locate the Hdri file in your PC and press Open. Now that the image is added, go to the Mapping Type drop-down and change it from standard to spherical. If you don't have an Hdri image, you can always download it from Hdri Heaven or other sites. To add this Hdri map to our scene, go to the Render tab and select Environment. Then drag out a string from the map to where it says None, and with Instance selected, press OK. Now our scene has Hdri. Next, we're going to add some strip lights. To do that, go to the Create tab, select Vray Light, and change the type to Plane. Place the lights where the lights need to come through, copy it as an instance, and adjust the height. We need to add an external night light that comes to the room. So let's select Vray Light again with the type still on the panel and extend the light from edge to edge of the door or window of your scene. Adjust the orientation and the direction of the light. The arrow shows the direction of the light, so it should be inward. Let's render and see what we've done so far. The exterior light is not showing up, so check the setting and it's not turned on. Turn it on and check the render. And it works. To change the color of the light, go into the General section and change the mode from temperature to color. Then click on the color. It's white by default. Change it to a dark blue to give a night look to the scene. You can also use the Vray sun to create a night light. Just turn it on and change the filter color to blue in the Modify tab. The scene is still too dark, so select the camera and change the exposure value to 10. As you can see, the scene is well lit now. To give the scene a cozy feel, change the color of the light by selecting the lights, and with the mode on temperature, lower the value. The higher the number, the colder the lights appear and the more bluish in color. The lower the temperature, the warmer the lights appear and more red the light gets. Increase the multiplier value of the lights to get a brighter scene. Now, let's turn off the Override Material option and hit Render to see the changes we have made so far. There are some objects in the scene with bad material, so let's change that. Select the object, go to Vray Material Library, and assign a new material to it. You can also select the object and select a material from the material editor and assign it to the object. Do this for every object that you want to assign a new material to and render a preview. This time in a big window to see the details. See here, the scale of the texture is too big, and it's making the material seem rough when it's really not. So, let's change that. Go to the material editor and press the eyedrop icon on the top left of the window, then select the object that the material is assigned to. This will help us locate the material used for that object. The dotted lines around the material tell us this is the one on the object. As you can see, the textures on this material are too big, so select the map and change the size to a lower value, maybe 5. Now, when we render, you can see the problem is solved. I don't like the camera position, so let's play around with it more. As you can see, when we adjust the camera, sometimes there will be an obstacle in front of it. To fix this without changing the camera position, let's clip the view. To do that, select the camera. In the Modify tab, scroll down to Clipping and Environment and turn on Clipping. Then play around with the value to expose the scene behind the obstacle. The red mesh on the camera tells us where the clipping plane is, and we can use it to see if we clear the obstacle or not. We can also change the film gate and focal length to get a clear picture of our scene. Now, let's add a second and third camera to get a different angle of the room. Once we're done adjusting those cameras, we're ready for the final render. To produce the final render, go to Setting, and in the Common tab, change the resolution to 3840 by 2160. In the Vray tab, change the noise threshold to 0.005 with the color mapping set to Rain Hard. Then go to the GI tab and change the primary engine from irradiance back to brute force with light catch, still the secondary engine. In the light catch drop-down, change the subdivs value back to 1000. And finally, let's add render elements. Go to the tab and press Add. From the pop-up window, select Vray Denoiser and Light Mix and add them to the list. Then press Render.